Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today we'll be looking at NCERT solutions for mathematics. We'll be looking at Class 7 Mathematics, Chapter 7, Exercise 7.1 Solutions. Let's begin, shall we? Question number 1. Complete the following statements. Two line segments are congruent if. Now, for this question, let's draw two line segments that are congruent. Now, line segments are 1D shapes. What does that mean? 1D means that it is a one-dimensional shape. So it has only one dimension. For example, 3D shapes has 3 dimensions: length, breadth and height. 2D shapes have 2 dimensions: length and breadth. So 1D shapes has 1 dimension, that is length. So if two line segments are congruent, we have to check if the lengths are equal. In the NCERT textbook it's given, if two line segments have the same length, they are congruent. Also, if two line segments are congruent, they have the same length. So two line segments are congruent if they have the same length. Second part. Among two congruent angles, one has a measure of 70 degrees. The measure of the other angle is. Now, for this, let's look at two angles, the two congruent angles. In the first congruent angle, the measure of the angle is 70 degrees, and in the second one we had to find out. Now, what is the meaning of congruence? Congruence means that each part of two figures must be equal. So if angles are congruent, that means the angles must be equal, their measures must be equal. It can be seen over here that the second angle is equal to the first angle. If two angles have the same measure, they are congruent. So if two angles are congruent, their measures are the same. So if the first congruent angle is 70 degrees, then the second congruent angle is also 70 degrees. So the measure of the other angle is 70 degrees. Third part. When we write angle A is equal to angle B, we actually mean. Now, let's look at the two angles. Angle A, angle B. So for this also, that means if two angles are angle A is equal to angle B, means that angle A and angle B are congruent angles. So as we looked at the definition, it said that if two angles are congruent if their measures are the same. So angle A is equal to angle B means angle A is congruent to angle B, which actually means that the measure of the first angle is equal to the measure of the second angle. Measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B. So when we write angle A is equal to angle B, we actually mean the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B. Writing M before the angle stands for measure. The measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B. Next question. Give any two real-life examples for congruent shapes. Now, congruent shapes are the shapes which are similar. Not similar, but everything is same. Their measures are the same, their size is the same, and we can see lots of real-life examples. For example, pages of a book, of the same book. When you're reading a book, like two pages of the same book will be equal. Their length will be equal, their breadth will be equal, their size will be equal. So pages of the same book are congruent shapes. And then another example would be that your mobile phones. If the mobile phones are the same model, then they would be congruent. Their shape would be congruent, and other features would be congruent. Also, if two cars of the same model, if there are two cars of the same model, their features would be the same, their shape would be the same. So cars of the same model are congruent shapes. So these are two real-life examples for congruent shapes. Next question. If triangle ABC is congruent to triangle FED under the correspondence ABC is to FED, write all the corresponding congruent parts of the triangles. Now let's look at the two triangles ABC and FED. Now these both are congruent by the statement ABC is congruent to FED. So if we join them together, we can see that point A is equal to point F, point B is equal to point E, and point C is equal to point D. If we separate them, another way to find out which points are congruent is to write both of the triangles. So A, B, C, and below that we write FED in the same order. Now if you are looking at the congruence of two triangles and it's given under the correspondence, then we have to ignore the first part and take the second part. But since both of them are equal in this question, it doesn't matter. But if it had been given, if triangle ABC is congruent to FDE under the correspondence ABC is to FED, then we have to take the correspondence ABC is equal to FED. Now, returning to the question, in this, to find the corresponding points, we see that point A is congruent to point F, point B is congruent to point E, and point C is congruent to point D. So let's write that. A is equal to F, point B is equal to point E, and point C is equal to point D. Now, after the points of a triangle, we have the lines of a triangle. Now, the lines of ABC are AB, BC, and CA, and the lines of FED are FE, ED, and DF. Now, to find this, first write one of the lines of the first triangle to find which of the lines are congruent. A, B. Then we have to write Then we had to find out for each of the which each of the points of the first line is congruent. Now we can see in the first figure, AB is made up of two parts, A and B. Now A is congruent to F and B is congruent to E. So that means that line AB is congruent to line FE. Similarly, BC. Now B is congruent to E and C is congruent to D. So BC is congruent to ED. And AC, we can write line AC. Now A is congruent to F and C is congruent to D. So AC is congruent to FD. Now for writing the congruence of lines, we have to be careful about the order in which we write. Now if AB is congruent to FE, we can't say that AB is congruent to EF, because then we'd be saying that A is congruent to E and B is congruent to F, which is wrong. Now the last part of the triangle is the angle. Now the angles of both of the figures are angle A, angle B, angle C, and angle F, angle E, angle D. Now an easy method to finding the angles of a triangle is to write the congruence of the points again. A is congruent to F, B is congruent to E, and C is congruent to D. And instead of point, we write an angle in each of those. So angle A is congruent to angle F, which is which we can see in the figure. Angle B is congruent to angle E, and angle C is congruent to angle D. Now if you have to write the full form, then write A and then the other two parts of the triangle. BAC is congruent to F and then EFD. Angle ABC is congruent to angle FED. Angle ACB is congruent to angle FDE. So the congruent parts of the triangle are these are the congruent parts of the triangle, and that solves the question. Next question. If triangle DEF is congruent to triangle BCA, write the parts of a triangle BCA that is corresponded to angle E. Now as we did in the previous question, let's write these two statements, the congruent statement down. Triangle DEF is congruent to triangle BCA. So that means that D is congruent to B, E is congruent to C, and F is congruent to A. Now we also saw in the previous question that if we replace the points with angles, the statement would be true. So angle D is congruent to angle B, angle E is congruent to angle C, and angle F is congruent to angle A. The question is, angle E, which part is of angle BCA is corresponding to angle E. And we can clearly see that angle E is congruent to angle C. So the corresponding part would be angle C. So angle C is the right answer for this question. Second part, if triangle DEF is equal to BCA, then you have to find which part of BCA is correspondent to EF. Now let's write the congruency statement again. DEF BCA. D is congruent to B, E is congruent to C, and F is congruent to A. Now we learned that to write the congruence of the line, we have to check. We have to split the line into the 2 points that consists of the line, and then we have to find the congruent parts and join them again. So in EF, if we separate it, we get E and F. Now E is congruent to C and F is congruent to A. So that means that line EF would be congruent to line CA. So that is the answer, and line CA is the answer for this question. Third part, angle F. Now again, DEF BCA, D is congruent to B, E is congruent to C, and F is congruent to A. And if we are to replace the points with angles, angle D would be congruent to angle B, angle E is congruent to angle C, and angle F is congruent to angle A. Now the question is angle F. The part of BCA is correspondent to angle F. As we have clearly marked, angle F is congruent to angle A. So the right answer for this question is angle A. This can also be written as angle DFE is congruent to angle BAC, and so the right answer for this question is angle A. Last question, line DF. So which part of BCA is correspondent to line DF? So we write the correspondent points, BCA DEF. D is congruent to B, E is congruent to C, F is congruent to A. So we split the line into 2 parts, that is D and F, and then we'll D is congruent to B and F is congruent to A. So that means that line DF would be congruent to line BA. So the correct answer for this question is line BA. That's all, folks. We hope you found it interesting. For more useful videos, please subscribe to our channel, Brain Blitz Audios. Until the next episode, take care, stay safe. Ta-ta for now.